Hello viewers, welcome to Sarthak classes. Today's lecture will be on research, its meaning and methods. First, let's begin with the meaning of research. Research is the planned study of the subject chosen by researcher to arrive at new and confirmed conclusions. Here are some facts about research and also some definitions. We can discuss one by one. Research is the complete analysis of a problem in a certain area. According to book, the name of book is The Romance of Research. This book is written by Redman and Mori. So according to this book, research is the systematic effort to acquire new knowledge. Discovering new facts and findings new fact by testing old facts and theories again is called research. Research is the process in which facts are compiled with a careful effort and new principles and facts are obtained by observational analysis from intelligence. Next definition, according to P.M. Cook, research is the search for facts, their meaning and usefulness in details with honesty and intelligence. And other definition is Dr. M. Verma. Dr. M. Verma says that research is an intellectual process that exposes new knowledge and scores old errors and misconceptions and systematically enhances the current knowledge base. Some other important facts we can see. Knowledge gained through research can be verified. Research is a well-organized and sophisticated method of thinking. Research is a logical and objective process. It is a cyclical process. Research is a long process done in sincere manner which requires patience. The research process is specific and deep. New knowledge is grown and developed through research. Data is collected from primary and secondary sources. There are two types of data, primary data and secondary data. We will discuss in next class about data. Next point is the research process is scientifically organized and well planned. Scientific design is used for research. Solution of research is not the result of research but the result of investigation. Scientific inspection is subject to research. General inspection is outside the preview of research, whereas scientific inspection is always systematic and well planned. If research is systematic and well planned, then it will be called scientific research. Here some terms related to research are defined. We can easily understand. The first is techniques. What is technique in research? So technique is the means of collecting research material. Material may be oral and mechanical. For example, questionnaire, interview, etc. Next is method. Method is functional rules plus various techniques. Various techniques which are used in research, and functional rules, these are called method. And the next term is research methodology. Research methodology is wide range of methods and techniques and their theoretical reasoning methods, etc. For example, interactive observations, case study, biography, etc. Now coming to types of research. Basically there are two types of researches. The first one is fundamental research and second is applied research. Fundamental or basic research is it concerns with understanding social world or with developing hypotheses and theories. Pure research is undertaking for the sake of knowledge without any intention to apply in practices. And second one is applied research. It concerns with solving specific problems. And applied research is carried out to find solution to a real life problem requiring an action or policy decision. Next one is exploratory research. This research studies subject about which either no information or little information is available. Generally, this type of research is qualitative, which becomes useful in formulating hypotheses or testing hypotheses and theories. In this research, the assumption is that the researcher has little or no knowledge about the problem or situation under study, or he is unfamiliar with the structure of the group he is studying. We can take an example. Suppose a researcher is interested in exploring students' unrest in a university campus. So he will study dissatisfaction of students regarding various problems they point out, administrators' apathy to these problems, students organizing under a leader for demonstration, strike, etc. Types of students who become active, the support they seek and get from outside agencies, how widespread an unrest becomes, how it is suppressed by the police, how leaders are arrested, and how authorities are pressurized to concede some demands. So these are examples of exploratory research. The next one is descriptive research. The main characteristic of this method is that researcher has no control over the variables. This is the main characteristic of descriptive research. Researcher can only report what has happened or what's happening. For example, research on drug abuse, census of India, these are descriptive type of researches. Next, explanatory and causal research. Causal research, as name suggests, it explains causes of problem. It aims at establishing the relationship between variables. The examples of explanatory and causal researches or causal researches: explaining relationship between broken family, juvenile delinquency, explaining relationship between drug abuse and lack of family control, students' strike and apathy to solving students' grievances. These are the examples of explanatory and causal research. Next one is qualitative research. The research employs qualitative measurement. This is quantitative research. The research employs quantitative measurement and use of statistical analysis. It is applicable to phenomena that can be expressed in terms of quantity. Next one is qualitative research. The phenomena relating to our involving quality or kind, it aims at discovering the underlying motives and decision using in depth for the research purposes. The example of qualitative research is, it may be what has been the party-wise stand on women's reservation in parliament and state assemblies. So this type of research may be called qualitative research. Next, longitudinal research. This study involves the study of problem of somebody or phenomena over a period of time. For example, prevalence of AIDS among male and female in 1993, 2003 and 2013. The next one is historical research. Historical research utilizes historical sources like documents to study events or ideas of the past. The main characteristic of historical research is it is descriptive in nature. It is difficult task. It must often depend upon inference and logical analysis or recorded data and indirect evidences rather than upon direct observation. And the last point related to historical research is primary data cannot be used. Historical researches are based on only secondary sources of data. Now coming on sampling techniques or methods. So before discussing sampling methods, types of sampling, we should know what is sampling. We should know about meaning of sampling. So while conducting a survey, a question is usually asked, should all people be studied or only a limited number of persons drawn from the total population be studied, and then extend our findings about sample to the entire population. So what is population? Population refers to all those people with the characteristic which the researcher wants to study within the context of a particular research problem. A population could be all students in the college, all patients in the hospital, all customers in a big departmental store, all users of particular model of car, all households in the village, all workers in the factory, and so on. When the population is relatively large and is physically not accessible, researchers survey only a sample. So what is sample? A sample is a portion of people drawn from a larger population. It will be representative of the population only if it has some basic characteristic of the population from which it is drawn. So now we will discuss the types of sampling. Basically, there are two types of sampling: probability sampling and non-probability sampling. The first one, probability sampling. Probability sampling is one in which every unit of population has an equal probability of being selected for the sample. Today, probability sampling remains the primary method for selecting large representative samples for social science and business researches. There are some forms of probability sampling. These are simple random sampling, stratified sampling, cluster sampling, multi-stage or multi-phase sampling. Next is non-probability sampling. In many research situations, particularly those where there is no list of persons to be studied, probability sampling is difficult and inappropriate to use. In such type of researches, non-probability sampling is the most appropriate one. Non-probability sampling procedures do not employ the rules of probability theory, do not claim representativeness, and are usually used for qualitative exploratory analysis. There are also some subtypes of non-probability sampling. These are convenience sampling, purposive sampling, quota sampling, and snowball sampling. In probability sampling, the first one is simple random sampling. In this type of sampling, there are some methods which are used, such as lottery method, use of tables, selecting from sequential list, grid system, use of computer. Next one is stratified random sampling. The population is subdivided in homogeneous group. From each group certain items are taken, is stratified random sampling. There are also two types of stratified sampling. The first one is proportionate stratified sampling and the next is disproportionate stratified sampling. Next, clustered sampling. Clustered sampling means random selection of sampling units consisting of population element. Each such unit is a cluster of population element. Each selected sampling unit is a sample of population element unit drawn by systematic random sampling. The next one is multi-stage random sampling. In this method, sampling is selected in various stages, but only the last sample of subject is studied. And in non-probability sampling, the first one is convenience sampling. Convenience sampling involves the sample being drawn from the part of the population that is close to hand. In convenience sampling, the researcher studies all those persons who are most conveniently available or accidentally come in his contact during certain period of time in the research. We can take an example. Suppose the researcher engaged in the study of university students, so he might visit the university canteen, library, some departments, playgrounds, and interview certain numbers of students. Another example is of election study. During election times, media personnel often present man on the street interviews that are presumed or reflect public opinion. In such sampling, representativeness is not significant. The most obvious advantage of convenience sampling is it is quick and economical, but it may be a very biased sample. The possible sources of bias could be the respondents may have vested interest to serve in cooperating with the interviewer, and the respondent may be those who are vocal or he want to brag. Convenience samples are the best utilized for exploratory research when additional research will subsequently be conducted with a probability sample. Next, purposive or judgmental sampling. In the purposive sampling, the researcher purposely chooses persons who, in his judgment about some appropriate characteristic required of the sample members, are thought to be relevant to the research topic and are easily available to him. For example, suppose the researcher wants to study beggars. He knows the 3 areas in the city where the beggars are found. He will visit only these 3 areas and interview beggars of his choice and convenience. The next is quota sampling. This is a version of stratified sampling with the difference that instead of dividing the population into state and randomly choosing the respondent, it works on quotas fixed by the researcher. In the example of studying 50 MBA students from 150 students in 5 institutions, the researcher fixes the quota of 10 students from each institutions, out of which 5 will be the boys and 5 girls. The choice of the respondents is left to the interviewer. Quota can also be fixed according to their proportion in the entire population. For instance, for studying the attitudes of persons towards use of loudspeaker in religious places in one educational situation with 100 males and 50 females belonging to different religion, quota can be fixed in the ratio of 1 female for every 2 males. The advantages of quota sampling are it is less costly than other techniques. It does not require sampling frame. It is relatively effective. It can be completed in a very short period of time. There are also some limitations of quota sampling. We can see that it is not representative. It has interviewer's bias in the selection. Estimating sampling error is not possible. A strict control of field work is difficult. Next, snowball sampling. In this technique, the researcher begins the research with few respondents who are known and available to him subsequently. These respondents give other names who meet the criteria of research.